Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and today I went to go and see the nut job 2, Nutty by Nature. In this film, Surly Squirrel and the animals of the park end up going up against a corrupt mayor and his psychotic daughter who want to replace their park with loads of amusement rides. It's kind of amazing how this movie's narrative is the picture book definition of generic. Just by describing the plot, I bet you're thinking, well, that sounds boring. It really is such a plain, vanilla concept that we've seen a bajillion times. I can't count how many children's movies have this exact same narrative. And when it comes down to it, the movie doesn't really have any twists or turns when it comes to this premise. It doesn't exactly execute it any other way. You've seen it before, you know what's coming, all the cliches are there. But despite the insanely unimaginative skeleton for the film, it's actually kind of entertaining. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It took me back. The best thing about it is that it is actually consistently funny. I laughed a lot of times while watching this movie. I will admit that my laugh tones did range. Sometimes it was a very mild, subtle little chuckle, but sometimes I did laugh out loud, and I felt kind of bad because I think I was the only person there that was laughing that loud. You can definitely tell that the writing has improved since the last movie because there's so many great quips and one-liners. I really did find this movie to be very funny. I was quite shocked, seeing as I didn't find most of the first Nut Job to be that funny. I do have a complaint about the comedy though. You see, in the first movie, there was a mouse who had the line, "We're all going to die." This sequel milks that line so much. You know the term, beating a dead horse with a stick? This movie takes that joke to the next level. This is mincing the horse through a slaughterhouse. I get the impression that the filmmakers saw a good response to that line in the first movie and thought, okay, let's just run with it. Let's just do this joke a million times. But it ends up becoming so much less funny because it's done so many times. And while the mayor is your typical one-dimensional corrupt bad guy that you've seen in so many movies like this, his daughter is beyond fun. She is insane. She is so crazy. There's some really good moments with her. My favourite has to be where Precious has been captured by her and she's witnessing this crazy child playing with dolls in the most psychotic way possible, and she comments, well, one day they're gonna say that these were the warning signs. That's a good line. If I was to best describe the mayor's daughter, I would say that she's like the Darla from Finding Nemo and the Darla from Cats Don't Dance, squashed together, sent to hell, and then brought back up onto Earth. The mayor's daughter's dog Frankie and Precious also end up having their own romantic subplot. While the humour for this plot is kind of tastelessly gross out because their idea of a romantic gesture is regurgitating vomit, it's actually a very heartwarming love story, because Frankie is going through a lot of abuse because of the mayor's daughter, and Precious is in a position where she can actually give him actual happiness. Now, my main fear when going into this movie was how are they going to handle the character of Surly? In the first movie, he's a complete arse all the way through until the last few minutes. Were they going to change him back to his old ways, or they're going to make him boringly squeaky clean? But luckily, they do a good job with his character. From this point on, he is way more caring about those around him. He takes on the responsibility of looking after everyone, just like Andy. And yeah, he's got a very sweet side now. But the film doesn't completely abandon the spirit of his character. He still retains a lot of egocentricity. Not to the same level, but it's there, and the movie does explore it. There's actually a very moving part of the film where Surly is kind of reckless because he puts his ego before his common sense, and one of the animals gets injured and he really takes it out on himself, but at the same time he feels for the character that's injured. So yeah, I did like what the film managed to do with Surly's character, create this balance of egocentric and likeable. It's the kind of character that we should have had in the first place. And because the comedic writing is so much stronger, Will Arnett is now capable of being funny. He is pretty much in his A-game for this movie. He is much better. He managed to make me laugh more times, and I do feel as if that his performance excelled enough to help me like Surly much more this time round. And the film builds up to this surprisingly fun climax where the animals and the mayor and his cronies are going up against each other in the mayor's rundown theme park. It's a very imaginative and amusing sequence. There's a lot going off, but it's not too much. My favourite part of this finale has to be where these martial artist mice slide into a rubber suit they stole from one of the minions of the mayor, and they fight in this suit. It's a really fun idea. I liked that bit. To conclude, the Nut Job 2 is certainly a big step up from the first Nut Job. Is it amazing? No. It is not by a long shot. This is a movie that I know I will forget about very soon. It's a film that will be lost among all the other films just like it, much like the first movie. But I think if you're ending up in a position where you have to watch the film, like you're stuck with kids and they want to watch it, or it's the only thing on TV, I think it's fine to give it a chance. Is it worth going to the cinema to see? Not really. But again, if your friends are like, oh, I want to go and see Nut Job 2, don't feel too fearful, because there's a lot to get out of it. I think my point is that it's surprisingly good. It's okay. It surpasses its predecessor, which isn't much of a compliment, but still, I liked it for what it is. I've been Jambareeqi, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to support me on my Patreon. It would be greatly appreciated if you could make a pledge. Thank you. I'd also like to remind people that this October is going to be my 5th anniversary on YouTube. To celebrate, I'm going to be holding a countdown where you guys decide the entries. If you'd like to take part in this project, you can click a link to learn more in the description box below. Cheerio, folks.